Okay, here is this week's Encore's newsletter. Dimanche 2 mars 2025. Numéro 359. Sunday, March 2nd, 2025, number 359. Vocabulaire, mind-blowing tip. Nearly all English words ending in tion have a direct French equivalent and are feminine. And I believe the same goes for Spanish, but that's cion in Spanish. La nation, l'évolution, l'action, l'application, la station, la création, la solution, l'information, la communication, la révolution, l'éducation, la fonction, l'attention, l'imagination. And they're more or less, their English translations are pretty much self-explanatory because there's very little difference in the French word and the English word. Verb de la semaine, démissionner, to resign. Exemple, c'est décidé, je démissionne. And that's it, I'm quitting. Anyway, le Premier ministre a démissionné à la suite des élections législatives. The Prime Minister resigned following the parliamentary elections. Présent. Je démissionne. Tu démissionnes. Il démissionne. Nous démissionnons. Vous démissionnez. Il démissionne. Passé composé. J'ai démissionné. Tu as démissionné. Il a démissionné. Nous avons démissionné. Vous avez démissionné. Ils ont démissionné. Losing your job in the US versus France. I can't play someone else's YouTube video in this. I'm not trying to get a copyright strike, so I'm going to watch this on my own. I want to read the newsletter part. But I've seen another one of her videos floating around, so I want to check her out in the future. I can't remember her username though. En France, un employé peut être embauché en CDI, contrat à durée indéterminée, ou en CDD, contrat à durée déterminée. Le CDI est la norme, tandis que le CDD est temporaire. Contrairement aux États-Unis, où un employeur peut licencier un salarié sans justification, sauf discrimination, un licenciement en CDI suit une procédure stricte, entretien préalable, lettre de licenciement et préavis, sauf faute grave. Le salarié reçoit aussi des documents essentiels, comme l'attestation pour emploi pour toucher le chômage. In France, an employee can be hired on a CDI, permanent contract, or a CDD, fixed term contract. The CDI is the standard, while the CDD is temporary. Unlike in the United States, where an employer can fire an employee without justification, except in cases of discrimination, firing someone under a CDI follows a strict procedure, preliminary interview, termination letter, and notice period, except in cases of serious misconduct. The employee also receives essential documents, such as the Pôle emploi certificate required to claim unemployment benefits. Interesting. En CDD, la rupture avant la fin du contrat est très encadrée. Elle n'est possible qu'en cas de faute grave, force majeure ou embauche en CDI ailleurs. Sinon, l'employeur doit payer les salaires jusqu'à la fin prévue du contrat. À l'issue d'un CDD, le salarié perçoit aussi une indemnité de précarité, 10% du salaire brut, une protection existante aux États-Unis, où la perte d'un emploi entraîne souvent une coupure immédiate de revenus. For a CDD, terminating the contract before its end is highly regulated. It is only possible in cases of serious misconduct, force majeure, or if the employee is hired under a CDI elsewhere. Otherwise, the employer must pay the wages due until the contract's original end date. At the end of a CDD, the employee also receives a precarity bonus, 10% of gross salary, a protection that does not exist in the United States, where job loss often results in an immediate loss of income. Yep. Things are so different in other parts of the world. And it's just ridiculous how the United States is quote unquote considered one of the best countries, but there are so many issues in this country, but I'm not going to get into it here, but yeah, there's just too many issues in this country. Way too many. Anyway. L'assurance santé est une autre constante majeure. En France, la sécurité sociale garantit une couverture, même après un licenciement. Aux États-Unis, l'assurance étant liée à l'emploi, un salarié licencié doit souscrire à COBRA, un programme coûteux jusqu'à environ $700 par mois, qui peut absorber une grande partie des allocations chômage. En France, perdre son emploi ne signifie pas perdre sa protection sociale. Health insurance is another major difference. In France, Social Security guarantees coverage even after job loss. In the United States, since health insurance is tied to employment, a laid-off worker must enroll in COBRA, a costly program up to about $700 per month that can consume a significant portion of unemployment benefits. In France, losing your job does not mean losing your social protection. And like I said, it's so ridiculous how the system is set up here in the United States. It's ridiculous that someone has to pay, they lose their job, and they have to pay $700 a month to keep their insurance, to keep their health insurance. It's ridiculous. And it's usually more expensive than what it was when someone had a job. Oh, Lord have mercy. And there are a lot of Black women I follow on YouTube who live overseas, and they talk about how much more freeing it is to live overseas than it is to live in the United States. And no country is perfect, but there just seem to be more things and more freedoms living overseas. And it's just yeah, another topic for another day. But As usual, I love these weekly newsletters. They're so informative. They're so, and Emmanuel, he is usually the main one who puts together these newsletters. I haven't seen too many Instagram posts lately, probably because of the weird algorithms. But I do follow him on Instagram. I follow Encore French Lessons on Instagram. I don't think it's a Facebook page. I do follow the YouTube page, but I don't think the YouTube page gets updated regularly. But they're very informative. They help me practice my French. And I get to learn about this week is very informative because I didn't know about this. And they also had one, I think it was last week or the week before, about how college is different in France versus the United States. And I got the impression that college is more independent. Like they treat their students more independently versus American colleges, where American colleges seem to be about not only the education, but about social events and whatnot. Whereas the French schools, they're more about just the education itself. It's not really about building social connections. And it's a lot more cheaper there too in France. Yeah, these are very educational. And I do recommend subscribing to this weekly newsletter. À la prochaine, mes amis.